Cover 2 Monday is upon us. Coach, my guy, how are you doing?
My guy. I'm
I'm
hyped,
not your
dog.
guy, pal. I'm not your pal, guy.
Hey, what's your name? Ezekiel. Hey, Ezekiel. What's going on, bruh? I feel good, man. The offseason is upon us. The season, I feel like the dust is finally settling, so we can get into like the real business of football. And this is what I love about this area of the year. This section of the year is because it's off season. So you're really only gonna get diehards, right? You're gonna get people that either really care about what's going on or they're just blowing smoke. So I love this section of the season. It gives us the ability to get granular, start talking about the intricacies of what moves matter, why they matter to the Niners, and just talk about getting better. Because really, even the disagreements or the agreements that we have is still the common denominator is we want to get better. So that's what I love about the offseason, and I'm excited to get it underway.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have some things to discuss here. We do know that Brian Fleury has taken a offensive coordinator position with the Seahawks. As we know, Kubiak is now with the Raiders. And the reason this is noteworthy is for two reasons. One, this is the team that just won the Super Bowl. They're in division, so of course we got to keep tabs on them. And two, that was our tight ends coach. He is now gone, and he is with the Seahawks. So that being said, it's interesting because this I guess this is the disadvantage of quote unquote winning a Super Bowl, right? Like, give me a Super Bowl and all the disadvantages that come along with it. By the way, I'm not poo-pooing the Super Bowl. Give me the Super Bowl and all the disadvantages. But when you win a Super Bowl, everybody else is hired, and so it's kind of slim pickings. Now, the Seahawks, as we know, really struggled offensively with Grubb the year prior, sent him back to college, and now they are back at it again with a third offensive coordinator under Mike McDonald. And this time it's Brian Fleury, ex-tight ends coach, rather, for the San Francisco 49ers. Talk to me about this. Do you think this is a major impact? Does this hurt the 49ers in a big way? Like, how do you see this playing out?
I don't want to bury the lead, but basically TBD, right? On its face, what it says is the machine is going to keep on working. There's another coach coming from the tree of Kyle Shanahan. What we've seen over multiple years of guys who have been under the tutelage of not only Kyle Shanahan but this system, and what happens? You start to see guys that start with menial roles. They start with quality control roles. They start with smaller roles. They get into the coaching staff, and then they actually graduate into taking over position. That's exactly what happened to Brian Fleury. Started as a defensive quality control coach, then maneuvered his way into being the tight ends coach. And then what happens is that there's a little slick thing that happens in coaching, which we're all familiar with, but basically you become a auxiliary coordinator, not an offensive coordinator, not a defensive coordinator, but for some reason you become the pass game coordinator or the pass rush coordinator, or in Brian Fleury's instance, the run game coordinator, right? It's another way to kind of not only elevate your position, bolster your cachet, give the reason why you should receive more money because you're more of a tenured coach, but you're kind of in that gray area of, hey, I'm a veteran. I'm not necessarily a position coach, but I'm not a coordinator yet, but I'm aspiring to be. And that's what you've seen the entire track with Brian Fleury. And now he's taking over a role which basically they're asking him to not break something that's already a well-oiled machine. Now, as far as him being able to like cross over his coaching style with being able to coach a quarterback in Sam Darnold, I don't know if they've kept their quarterbacks coach or how that's going to work. That's a whole ball of wax that they've got to worry about. But quite honestly, we kind of been there and done that. We saw the end of the world when we were supposed to really get it to us when Bobby Slowick left. And then all of a sudden, Mike McDaniel, that's the new genius. Once he gets out of he knows all our secrets, right? And we saw Kubiak go over to Seattle. So really, this is kind of what it means to have a coach in Kyle Shanahan who has an offense that is still growing in the NFL, right? It's not going anywhere. And, this is just emblematic of that. So my thing is that I don't want to make it something that, they've got another secret weapon or, Brian Fleury is really going to cook with the guys that he has. I got to see it to believe it. They've got a whole different ball of wax that they've got to get together and try to work through. But, I wish him the best. For what it's worth, if you want to look at what the 49ers actually lost, I get that George Kittle is somebody that's, class personified, future Hall of Famer. But Brian Fleury did not develop George Kittle, right? That didn't happen. And if you look at the tight ends that we've had in the building, sans George Kittle, your Ross Dwellys, your Sawbirds, Cam Latu, Braden Willis, not to poo-poo him, but show me the guy that Brian Fleury can put his tag on when he was with the 49ers that really showed what we're going to be losing and finding another guy to kind of fit in and get that whole position buttoned up. So, I'm 50-50 on it. I'm neutral. It is what it is.
Yeah, I don't look at it as like, oh my gosh, and who knows? I mean, maybe he is like the next thing. You never know. You really never know. He has been around for a long time. I will say he was a quarterback in college, so he does know the quarterback position. Smaller college. He played at Maryland and then Towson for 4 years, but still, he was a quarterback in college.
He's in my neck of the woods,
right?
He's a Maryland
guy. Okay, yeah. So there you go. So he did that. Then he coached at Maryland. He's been coaching since 2003 in some sort of capacity. He's been in the NFL since 2013. And to your point, started out with the Bills, quality control coach, then assistant linebackers coach with the Browns, then an outside linebacker coach with the Browns. And he's been with the 49ers since 2019. And a myriad of different roles: defensive quality control, offensive quality control, tight ends coach, run game coordinator and tight ends coach. And now he's the offensive coordinator. So he's definitely put in his dues for sure. He's been around the system for quite some time in some sort of capacity. He's coached against it defensively. He's coached with it offensively. And I think really what Seattle's looking for is somebody who's going to bring continuity. I think also somebody that's going to be a run first type of offensive coordinator. And that's exactly what I would imagine he's going to bring, being a run game coordinator, being a tight ends guy. We do know that he does passion blocking from the tight end position. So I imagine that's what they're looking for. Do I think that they got some czar at offensive coordinator? No, I don't. I do think this is a downgrade from Kubiak. But who knows? To your point, time will tell. We'll see how it goes. But I don't look at it as like some major loss and some major upgrade within the division. I just it is what it is, and we'll see how it plays out. I do tend to agree with that take.
I have a question to ask you, though.
Yeah.
The perspective on everything Seattle thus far has been, it's been top down, basically. What are the Niners going to do to respond to Seattle, and, they've been doing all of the talking and they've been doing all the walking. We've been doing all the talking. Like, how are we going to respond? Now, they're not the hunters. They're the hunted. It's a completely different ball game. All right. And if we're looking at them as being the hunted, is it fair to ask, was this a desperation move by them? Because I do believe that Coach Fleury is a downgrade from what they had at offensive coordinator. Are they so galvanized into the system that they got them a Super Bowl that they're willing to take any version of it? We don't know if Brian Fleury's the guy. We don't know if he can call plays. Like we just said, we don't know who he's developed. So there's a lot of question marks with Seattle right now. I don't want people to just automatically lateral in, like, basic thinking that, oh, they got another guy that knows the Niners system. Oh, and they got him right from the Niners coaching staff. Like, man, it's really going to work. It's like, nah, dude, you guys got questions to answer now. So I don't know. I wish him well, right? Because Brian Fleury, to be real with you, he hasn't galvanized himself on his staff for us to be really talking about him over these years. Have you looked at him as an asset?
I mean, the way that I see it is they easily could have made him an offensive coordinator at some point, right? Like, we know that it's like quasi offensive coordinator under Shanahan anyway. Shanahan's calling the plays. At no point was he elevated to offensive coordinator. Now, we have heard Shanahan in the past talk really good about him. But to your point, like, I think what you're basically saying is we could easily see a Philadelphia Eagles situation where it's like they're constantly looking for an offensive coordinator, and sometimes you hit and sometimes you miss. They missed last year. This season they hit in Kubiak. Maybe this is another offseason and they miss. We know that defense is going to be tight because McDonald's got it. But Fleury might not be it. And now you are basically a team that is led by your defense. Your offense isn't as dynamic as what it was this last year. And you've got problems. You've got major, major problems. And so, yeah, we don't know what Fleury's going to bring. And I agree. Like, we can't just look at it and be like, oh, man, they got the next guy. They're set. I don't see it that way at all. I'm not here to say that Fleury isn't the guy or can't be the guy, but I don't know for sure. We haven't heard the hooting and hollering from within the organization about him being the next guy ever. So that's a little weird to me.
Look, I want you to bring up that.
And the Rams, I'll say this: the Rams had Shieldhouse, who's like supposed to be the next genius. I'm surprised they didn't go and hire him, but that's just me. All right, where's it at?
Eric Dane. I love Eric,
okay,
but we got to. I really want to respond to this.
So
he goes, we're not seriously going to drag the team that beat us 41-6 on their way to winning a Super Bowl, right? Like, tell me that's not what's happening right now. We're not dragging them.
No.
But you got to be where your feet are too. The season is over. Okay? The season is over. The same way that we kill our own squad for trying to ride off of past season success, the same way that as soon as we got thumped by this team that you talked about, 41-6, the entire fan base was saying, all right, well, hey, back to the drawing board. There's no way the Niners can take anything that they had from this season and cross it over into new season. Seattle's the new squad. They're the ones. It all plays. So all of a sudden, you just want to take Seattle taking on a brand new first-time coordinator. Just not a new coordinator, a first-time coordinator. And you just all of a sudden just want to think that that's going to completely come in and nothing's going to happen? There's going to be no cross the barrier? Like, come on, bro. No barrier to entry. It's just going to work smooth. I don't think that's hating. I think that's being realistic. The same way that if we picked up a coach and we talked about Raheem Morris, and what did we talk about Raheem Morris? It was split down the middle. Half of us thought that it was a great pick. There was a lot of things that could help us out with the team. And there were the other people that thought, like, no, dude, this is same old. There's another Nepo hire. Kyle's hired another guy that he could just be under the wing and doesn't have to evolve, doesn't have to change, or doesn't have to listen to. So if we can do it with our own hires, why can't we do it with the rival? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're definitely not dogging them. We're just saying, like, I think it is fair to say that when you win a Super Bowl the way that they did, that you don't have the best picks out there. Like,
yeah,
I'll give you an example. If Seattle had hit the market a month ago with this coaching position, you think Fleury would have been the hire? 0% chance. 0% chance Fleury would have been their offensive coordinator. They would have been after Mike McDaniel. They would have been at a lot of people, a lot of good coaches. And that's not to say that Fleury isn't the guy or can't be the guy, but he definitely is down the list on guys. maybe I'm tripping and I just missed it. I don't remember Fleury getting one interview for offensive coordinator with all the myriad of open positions across the league. Did he get any interviews? I
No.
don't remember. I don't remember
Yeah.
it. Let me see. Brian Fleury interview. Let's see. I could be wrong. I could just be missing out on this. But reportedly to interview with the Seahawks. I don't see any other interviews. Okay, so he interviewed in 2024 for the OC spot with the Patriots. But he's not a guy that was like super popular across the league. Now that does not mean it's a bad hire. It just means I'm not concerned about it on its face. I got to see it play out before I'm going to show concern. This isn't like some major hire, some major steal that they took within the organization that's going to really cripple the 49ers and boost up Seattle. We're looking at things within the context of going forward. Now, do I think that automatically we're better than Seattle because of this? Absolutely not. That's crazy to say as well. But for what it is, yeah, I think it's safe to say at this moment, Seattle took a step back in this hire from Kubiak. They just did.
Yeah, and Eric responded, what I'm saying is the 49ers have their own problems to worry about. Yeah, I get it. But in the guise of us talking about the top, that matters. But if we're going to talk about the topic, I'm just saying that it's not all like I could see if we lost somebody like Coach Kasarik or we lost Bobby Turner or we lost like a piece that we talk about on a regular basis. Yeah, but all I'm saying is that, it remains to be seen. I got to see it first before I feel like we really lost a piece.
For sure. And I think this is going to be, he's going to be a run first coordinator and he knows the system. And so that's the hope, but he's never called plays before. And that can be tough. There's a lot of pressure there, especially when you're doing it for a Super Bowl team.
Hold on, wait a minute. And if I'm looking right now, Seattle also lost their quarterback coach as well.
He probably went with Kubiak, I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, listen, they're not dead in the water. I'm not trying to say that, but it's definitely a downgrade. They lost continuity, to say the least.
Hey, man, I'm petty. When people talk about the Niners losing people and, they're not going to be good, what are they going to do? We got to put up with all of that. So it's like, if you're going to poach our guys, and I feel like you didn't poach one of the best dudes we got, I'm going to talk shit.
Yeah.
I got to see it. It's not that deep.
I thought there were better options out there, personally. I thought Shieldhouse would have been a better option, but, hey, whatever it is what it is. So let him have him. Let him have him.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, speaking of Raheem Morris, you and I had a conversation about him, last week when we talked, and we were talking a little bit about him today as well. We talked a lot about Robert Saleh and how he had autonomy to run the defense, how he saw fit. And I don't know, I'll kind of I'll just open up the conversation to you about Raheem Morris. And like, now that it's been a bit, like what would you feel comfortable with Raheem Morris being our defensive coordinator? Do you feel like he should have full autonomy to run things, run the show how he sees fit? Kyle Shanahan stays out of his way, just does some checks and balances. Do you want Kyle Shanahan to micromanage it like he did with Wilkes? How do you see this thing playing out, and where would you feel comfortable with it?
For me, I'll start with just my premise, which is as long as Raheem Morris has the same leash as Robert Saleh had in this previous season, I am 100% fine with his involvement. What do I mean by that? There's two sides of this argument, which is there's one side of the Raheem Morris hire where there are people that believe this is a continuation of what we saw this season, meaning that there seemed to be a true compartmentalization in the coaching staff, meaning that Kyle wasn't lording over the defensive staff, making sure that his plans were actually delineated. We're not having any weird conversations or press conferences of a la Coach Wilkes. He knows what he did with the zero blitz against Minnesota. We're not having these really awkward deflections of Nick Sorensen clearly being trash, but Kyle Shanahan is backing his guy because the players wanted him. We didn't get any of that this season. We really almost got separation of duties, right? We got a really clean workflow of when we're talking to Kyle, in a sense, we're talking team, offense, and when we're talking to Coach Saleh, we're talking about defense and productivity of the defense. It was very clean. And so much so that you started seeing things that you hadn't seen in years past, which is Coach Saleh having the autonomy from day one. What did we see? When he got here, he was not hired as the defensive coordinator. What was the term floating around the faithful? He was the head coach of the defense, right? Now, that's different. It doesn't really mean anything on paper, but it rings true to what the feel in the context was. Also, if you want to compound upon that, Jed York, during the draft, like his whole shenanigans during Twitter, acting as though that Robert Saleh was making his picks. Let me get out of here. Coach Saleh just showed up. Us picking guys that we knew that were not only purposeful for certain deficiencies that we had on the team, but also guys that we immediately married to Coach Saleh in what was his direction? What is he trying to get done, right? Because we knew these guys were going to play right away. I don't think that we're out of those woods yet. I don't think that we're out of that stage. I still believe that a lot of the rookies that we're going to pick up, especially earlier in the draft, these guys are going to play. I don't think that we're out of that position yet. Now, because of that, you also saw Coach Saleh being able to not only play rookies, but have a maturation process with certain players on the defense, right? And I'm not just talking about rookies that struggled to get on the field like CJ West and Nick Martin, but I'm talking about guys that would presumably be conceived as veterans, that their own play was being challenged within the defense. You could look at Renardo Green. You could look at Darrell Luter Jr. You could look at Jair Brown, who was demoted during the season and actually ascended back into the safety position. Marquise Siegel and his spotty ascension into the lineup. So what I say all that to say that the beauty of being able to look at the defense was Robert Saleh had his hands and his fingerprints all over the defense holistically, from picking the guys, the process in which they actually went about games. Even so much so as that there was actually latitude for him to make mistakes. We saw him playing way too soft in certain games. One game that comes to mind particularly is the Atlanta Falcons game, where he admitted, hey, I needed to make some adjustments. I didn't get to him as soon as I wanted to. I wish I would have had that back. That doesn't happen in years past. When you look at defensive coordinators like a Coach Wilkes that gets thrown under the bus for, certain things. I mean, we ain't even gonna go there, but we understand why that goes. It's just not the same energy. I loved how there was a work-like professional aura to the coaching staff this year. It allowed everybody to have room to be able to make mistakes, to be able to be empowered, to coach their guys, especially when injuries started to happen. You could see that teams in certain sections on the defense became incubated. We were able to get certain free agents to be able to help us out, especially in the D line. We had a submergence in the linebacker crew with Fred Warner going down. We found another strong backup in Tatum Bethune. Garrett Wallow was somebody else who sprung out for us. I say all that to just highlight so many beautiful things that can happen when you just let guys do their job. I believe that Raheem Morris that could fit right into that. I also think that he's not just somebody. I think that you could chew bubblegum and walk at the same time, meaning that, yes, You can say that Raheem Morris is just another Kyle Shanahan hire. They came up together. Kyle Shanahan, there's a story out there. Kyle Shanahan almost went to jail for Raheem, and, he coached on his staff in 2016 on his offensive staff in Atlanta. They coached together in Washington. So, the history's there. But one thing you have to understand is that this isn't like a Mike McDaniel type dynamic, right? This isn't like a Robert Saleh like dynamic where the way these guys met each other was you were my superior and I was your subordinate. Raheem Morris and Kyle Shanahan came up together under John Gruden, right? Raheem Morris became a head coach before Kyle Shanahan became a head coach. They have served all over the NFL. Raheem Morris has individual cachet outside of Kyle. I think that it's a voice that Kyle will listen to, he'll respect. And if he's smart, if he sees how the defense was able to blossom under so many vulnerabilities and just trials, I think that Raheem Morris can be something that can help us. He could be his Bagger Vance. He could. He can help him out.
Yeah, he definitely can. And there's some, not a lot of turnover, but there's some turnover on the 49ers staff. We know that Daniel Bullocks, who's been here since 2017, I've advocated for him multiple times when dating back to when Wilkes was the original hire. I thought Bullocks would have been a great hire, a defensive coordinator. He was passed up multiple times, and now he's with the Green Bay Packers. He was I believe the run game coordinator or pass game pass game coordinator for the 49ers last year on defense. He's now with the Packers. Raheem Morris was able to bring in Jerry Gray from his staff to help with cornerbacks. So, there's some movement happening along the defensive staff, and obviously Raheem Morris is able to do what he needs to and bring in the guys that he wants. To your point, being that they are friends, hopefully Kyle Shanahan fully trusts him, allows him to do what he's going to do. And I think that that's why we enjoyed the hire. It's not because we think, well, at least I'll speak for me. It's not because I think Raheem Morris is like this amazing defensive coordinator, but he does things differently than the way that we have ran them thus far under Kyle Shanahan. And to me, Kyle Shanahan, yes, is hiring his friend, but if he allows him to run the defense the way that he wants to, then we're probably looking at stylistically a much different defense than what we are used to. Doesn't mean it has to go from a 4-3 to a 3-4. It doesn't have to be that drastic, but it probably means more blitzing, more man coverage, those types of things. And that is not something that we are accustomed to seeing under Shanahan, regardless of who the defensive coordinator is. So, I don't know how many times we've watched two linebackers mugged up in the A gap and never blitz time and time and time again. We're not necessarily going to see that with Raheem Morris. If he is given full autonomy to do whatever it is he wants to do, he's going to call a more aggressive game plan. That's who he's always been. And I'm curious to see if that is allowed or if Shanahan's going to kind of nip that and force him to coach in a way that he wants the defense coached. I don't know. Time's going to tell with that as well, but I think that's what's going to make this whole thing really interesting. How much has Kyle Shanahan really grown? Because we gave him a lot of credit this season for the way that he talked to the media, the Super Bowl appearance, the way that he came across in that scenario where he kind of poked fun at himself. All of that is great, but if he has his hands fully on the defense and doesn't allow Raheem Morris to be the head coach of the defense, then it's just the same old Kyle Shanahan. So I'm curious to see what he allows and what he doesn't.
Well, let's really talk about it.
Yeah.
What has the nepotism or the cronyism, if you will, of Kyle Shanahan hiring coaches, where has that bitten us? If you really think about it, it's really only bit us in the ass when Kyle has found people that are kind of outside of his enclave. Now, I get that Nick Sorensen was somebody that the guys wanted, but Coach Wilkes wasn't a part of the tree.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'll put it like this. Me and you, we're friends for real. So we know about each other's personal lives and how our careers and everything. Jesse, you know just as well as I do, the number one way of people getting jobs is through referral. through people that you know that understand that this is a good hire, and your name gets shot to the top of the stack of the resumes, and they have to make it look like the job is that hire, but the truth of the matter is that there's already a ringer to take the interview, right? So we know this. So when we see it on a football side, I get it. We want so much to change with Kyle himself that we look at anything that comes from his root, which is his fruit, right? So it's like, hey, man, if Kyle picks a guy, we're not really getting a change because this guy's just going to acquiesce to what Kyle is saying. What I'm saying is that 9 times out of 10 in coaching, you're going to get that anyway. The key is him being a fit, but him also having the ability to be individualistic and be strong enough and respected to do that while under the umbrella of Kyle. That's the point, right? Everybody's going to be Kyle's fit. You're never going to get an outside guy. My point is that let's not get a simp. And I hope that Raheem Morris is not a simp. That's the key.
Yeah, I mean, but that can be a little worrisome because this might be Raheem Morris's last stop. Like if it doesn't go well here, you weren't successful as a head coach multiple times. You haven't really had the best ranking defenses, and now you can't even like stick with one of your best friends like that. I don't know how that would go. So maybe he does simp a little bit. And back to the whole Wilkes thing, it was a quote unquote failure, not because Wilkes did bad, by the way. I mean, that defense was not poorly ranked by any means.
4th overall.
It was more than a decent it was a good defense.
It's a good
but
D.
Shanahan just didn't rock with him. That's the only reason it went bad. That's the only reason.
He just shaped the narrative. That's all it was.
Yeah, he did. He did. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how it goes. I also don't want it to be like, hey, Shanahan loves Raheem Morris and thinks he's amazing, and the defense is ranked 21st. Like that can't be good either.
I mean, yeah, that's going to be corny, right? Because what's going to be whack is that if we suck on defense and we all want Raheem Morris's head, and Kyle is clearly giving us like the Pam Bondi Epstein files jive, like, this is the best defensive coordinator ever, everywhere. Look at the Dow. The Dow is up 50,000 points. If we start getting that from Kyle, then it's a whole different ball game. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man. Joseph says, I can't wait for us to be last in the division. All right. Thanks, Joseph. I appreciate you. Mike H says, the Fire Kyle fans are the absolute worst. I don't know. I can think of worse. I can think of everything is perfect in 49er land no matter what they do. I think that part of the fan base kind of sucks too. Bill Wenger says, we don't want to know the details, but real ones know that in that final text exchange between the coach and Grant, Coach must have went hard in the paint. Love you, Coach. You and Jesse are the best channel. What's going on? What happened?
We don't want to know the details, but we want to know that in the final text exchange between Coach and Grant, Coach must have went hard in the paint. Love you, Coach. You just bro. I don't know what that means. Okay. Me and Grant, as a matter of fact, I might as well just go ahead and drop this out. Me and Grant are going to be live back on Thursdays at, what is that, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific. The coaches meeting is back starting Thursday, brother. So I love you, Bill, but we good to go. As a matter of fact, what's up with 3 Deep, though?
I know. Well, dude, I mean, it's really my fault because I was moving. Then I had the kids on weird days, and it was just a whole bunch of movement going on. So
this is me literally asking him on stream.
Yeah,
what's going on?
It's all my fault. It's not like I just like scrapped it because I scrapped it. It's like I had some things going on. So I don't know. We definitely need to get back on it for sure. Edgar says, "Here's a super sticker. I appreciate you,
Edgar.
Appreciate you, Edgar. Appreciate you." All right. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about Steve Young here. So This is a little bit older. I think this happened like right after we went live last week or a day after, but Steve Young talks pretty regularly with 95.7 and what have you. And he was asked about the 49ers and how optimistic he is essentially about the future. And what he said was the 2024 team wasn't as bad as what the record would have indicated. They were 6-11. But he doesn't believe that the 2025 team was as good as the record indicated at 12-5. He feels like they were roughly the same team with slightly different circumstances that led them to drastically different records. And that if they were to play out that season 10 times, that they would be, they're basically a 9-8 team. So what he's saying is, hey, at 12-5, I don't want to see this team rest on their laurels. I want them to act with urgency. I want them to put a lot out there to try to improve. They cannot go into this season and be like, hey, it's fine. As long as XYZ is healthy, we're going to be good. We can win a Super Bowl. He doesn't want the team to stand pat, which is interesting because on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have guys like George Kittle out there going, hey, man, we weren't supposed to win 12 games and we did, and we had all these injuries. So as long as we get healthy, we're good to go. We don't really need to add a lot. We got the pieces in house. So just two completely different ends of the spectrum here. What say you, Coach? What do you think about Steve Young's comments? And, maybe you can couple them in with George Kittle's, but just overall, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, there's two sides of this. There's the player side of it, and then there's the ex-player side of it, I guess. Listen, I love Steve Young. I think Steve Young is he's vital to not only football, but 49ers culture. I think that we don't have 49ers culture without Steve Young. He's one of the most athletic, smart, apt commentators and players that we've ever had, not only with the 49ers, but the NFL. I say all of that to say who gives a fuck, bro? Like, bro, the water is wet. We get it. Like, I am so tired of people acting like they have these mind-blowing takes about the 49ers as if we do not see the same shit. Not only we as fans, but as if the people in the building don't see the same shit. The 49ers are lucky to be 12-5. Pull out the goddamn X-Files. Somebody get it on the ticker tape. Who would have thunk it? We all know that the Niners were lucky to be 12-5. Oh, the Niners could have easily been 6-12, 6-10 the way they were before they were. No shit, Steve. We understand that. We understand that all of the injuries and that we were lucky to win the games that we did. Guess what? We were even happy to win the divisional away game that we won against Philadelphia. All of this is just pointing out more of the problem that needs to get cleaned up. And the cleanup doesn't happen within a spurt or a couple of interviews or an off season. It takes years. So sometimes people get arrested development and they look at a problem as if it just happened already. Sometimes you have to be able to keep the consistency of your issues, which means 2 years ago, it used to be one. That's the way time works. Now it's 2 years ago. When we failed in the Super Bowl, we immediately said we had all of these streams. We had all of these lives. I was there with you, Jesse, where we talked about, dude, the dog days are coming for the Niners. The struggle years are here. We got to pay what we owe. We got financial issues. We got to get tons of guys off the books. We got to pay for what we've done to be able to chase these Super Bowls. It's time to pay the piper. And it's going to take multiple years for us to be able to get full drafts, to get younger, cheaper, faster, to get more depth. Hey, I guess the next topic from Steve Young is the Niners really need to figure out what they're going to do with their core. No shit. No shit. We know that the core is old. The next topic I see about what are the 49ers going to do about their core, they're old. That's what we're trying to draft, buddy. But the Niners don't draft it up. We still got to draft. All I'm saying is that I don't think that what he said is necessarily news. All right? Because we are still in the middle of us cooking up our resurgence as a franchise. That's what we already started the year that we lost the Super Bowl. We got to get rid of these contracts. We moved on from Debo. We finally handled the Brandon Ayuk situation. That's got to happen. We got one full year of drafts. Guess what? We got another full year of drafts. We got to get those guys playing. We got to get younger. We've got to figure out a way to figure how to take Christian McCaffrey away from being the nuclear reactor of our offense. We got to keep Brock healthy. God forbid, we got to get a center. So there's a lot of work to do, but I just don't think that it's necessarily news artfully saying the Niners have work to do. It's just like, you know what? The Niners are kind of lucky to be 12-5. No shit. That's why we're happy about it. What else you got? That's how I feel.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of people that look at a 12-5 season exactly how George Kittle said it. And they're like, yeah, George, you tell them, because they shouldn't have been 12-5 this year. They definitely are ahead of schedule. And so when you look at it and say, okay, well, this team was 12-5. None of us expected that. We should all be happy with that. And that means that they've got the grounds to be a really good team moving forward, building off the 12-5 season. You and I actually had a good back and forth about this. Not that exact debate, but close, right? And so I agree with Steve to the standpoint where it's like, listen, this team is not on the verge of being elite as it's constructed now. They do have a lot of things that they've got to do. I think there is a lot of people that believe, though, that they are a piece or two away. Hey, go out and spend everything you got to go get Max Crosby. That'll solve all your problems. It's like,
I hate to do this, Jesse. Can I lightly interject? Because you let me cook. I hate to. Jesse, how can we say, all right, I'm not here to say that there is not a section of the fan base that says, we are a player or two away. I'm not here to say that's not true. But what I'm based in is reality, which is John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan both tempered expectations before this season. Did they not?
They did.
Did they not give innuendo to, hey, man, work with us? Kyle Shanahan went as far as to say, we're going to be a different team by week 12. And it was the truth. You got to work with us. It's going to be rough. They put that out there. Now, if you're not savvy enough to put up to be able to decipher what this organization gives us in the form of tea leaves, that's between you and God. But for me, anybody sitting here thinking that, the Niners are still in the Super Bowl window. How the fuck we gonna be in the Super Bowl window when you got the head coach telling us to hang in there before the season starts? How? How does that make sense? That's all I'm saying. We're still in the middle of this plan, and there are times where they dip into like the fanatic side of the PR game, which is, hey man, the Niners could be pushing. As far as an organization, it's their duty to push the team if we have a shot to make any type of success in the postseason of the season. That doesn't mean that we don't listen to what the boots on the ground are saying, which is, hey bro, you see the numbers? You see the dudes that's flying out of here? We got Mac Jones, bitch. We're trying to make it happen. Thank God that we got lucky that we made it happen. But I just think it's disingenuous to have a take to say, the Niners think that it's easy, that it's smooth as I think that's wild. Like, you can't think that they believe that, oh yeah, we really got it in the bag now. I don't believe that.
Well, listen, I'll say this. Speak for yourself, pessimistic fan, because I put a future on the 49ers to win a Super Bowl next year, right?
You can see it right
here. That's it right here. Positive fan right here. Pessimistic fan right down there is all I'm going to say. No.
Let's get it.
So listen, man, this is the great thing about Sleeper. And this might be my last month working with Sleeper because now we're hitting in the off season. But I will say, Sleeper's been a lot of fun to work with for multiple different reasons. One, I've got my Dynasty Fantasy Football League through them. Sunil invited me to that before I was even working with Sleeper. Sleeper has great player picks, and we'll get into those in just a minute. We've been doing that all season, but right now is definitely the best time to play Sleeper. I get football's over, but if you use promo code LSS, not only are you going to get the free $20 entry, not only are you going to get the deposit match of up to $100, but now they've added team picks, so you can pick who's going to win each game, not just player props. You can pick futures, which is exactly what I've done here. The 49ers have a 7% chance to win the Super Bowl next year. I went ahead and put, like, what was it? Let's see here. Let me see what I put down on the 49ers. I put down $7.50 to win $125. Right there. So you can do future picks now, and to top it off, you can still do the player picks. If you're still into the player picks, you can do that, which is exactly what I did here. All right. I got Joel Embiid. I got him on the less on the points. I got Anunoby. I got him with less on the points, 15.5 points. And I got Sabonis more on the 15.5 points and assists. So you got all options available. You got fantasy football. You got your player props. You got your team props. You got your futures. Sleeper has you covered. Use promo code LSS to get your deposit match and your free $20 play. All right, Coach, let's get back to it, brother.
Let's get it.
All right. We hit on the Steve Young thing. I didn't bring this up as a topic because it happened right before we went live. But Tyreek Hill got cut. Tyreek Hill got cut. And listen, we've a lot of conversations around A.J. Brown and trading Pearsall and Justin Jefferson. I get Tyreek Hill is coming off of an injury, but you don't have to trade anything for him. You can go sign him as a free agent. Do you think that's a good idea for the 49ers to bring in somebody like Tyreek Hill, who just got cut by the Miami Dolphins?
No, too much of a name, too much of a distraction. That's kind of like, that's the beauty and the it's kind of like the double-edged sword of the pro game. When you're on top of your game, your cachet and all of the things that you bring to the game can help you. When you don't bring the production and that cachet doesn't turn down, what can happen is that there's a potential that you can mess up the flow of a team that you ingratiate yourself as. Can Tyreek Hill be a package guy? Can Tyreek Hill be on the offense and get 4 balls a game, 4 targets a game? Can Tyreek Hill's skill set be bastardized into what he actually has left once we figure out what he has left when he is healthy? And what is it enough for the 49ers to spend that effort and time to see that through? Can Kyle Shanahan stay focused with the potential of what a Tyreek Hill could have done versus what a Tyreek Hill is, and we could have ourselves another lesser version of a Deebo Samuel complex where Kyle Shanahan is alienating the complete offensive game plan because we've got a Tyreek Hill on our roster in name but not production. I don't want to deal with it.
I agree. I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze for Tyreek Hill.
Nope.
Tyreek Hill also is a player that's relied on his speed his whole career. He had a catastrophic knee injury on the other side of 30 years old. I mean, we're talking about everything. He dislocated the knee, he tore his ACL along with other ligaments. Like, chances are he'll never be the same, ever be the same. Tank Dell just missed a whole season. Now he did something similar much later the season prior, but he's younger and he just missed a whole season. Listen, if Tyreek Hill is ever close to being what he was, I don't think it'll be this year. And I will say this, he's going to be extremely inexpensive. If Tyreek Hill, if the juice is worth the squeeze, he'll end up with the Chargers because the Chargers could use a receiver, number one. And Mike McDaniel is over there coaching as the offensive coordinator. if Tyreek Hill is not an issue, if he's not a problem, then why wouldn't McDaniel basically advocate to get him over with the Chargers, who are wide receiver needy? You know, he's inexpensive. He's a guy that you coached. So we'll see. If he doesn't end up with Kansas City or the Chargers, then I will say that he certainly shouldn't end up with the 49ers. I'll tell you that right now.
Hey,
So
man,
I wouldn't do it.
we still trying to get backup running backs to get carries in the red zone, man. We don't need
Right.
Tyreek Hill in here taking up distractions and attention. No, I'm sorry. Nah. We can't be that team. That one thing that I'm very keen on during this iteration of this regime, not even this regime, but just our organization, I'm very keen on us being tilted because we're not in a Super Bowl window. We're not necessarily dominating. You could look at us, you could look at our division and say, truthfully, that there's two teams that are better than us in our division. And we are 1 to 2 off seasons away from being desperate to being a laughingstock franchise. Like, that's what's at stake right now. I know everybody cares about a Super Bowl and all of that, but I'm here for the long haul, and I do not want us to turn into a laughingstock. And right now, there's a thin line between rebuilding and reloading and being at the draft, and Mel Kiper and the boys talking about the Niners and saying, man, you know what? The Niners really paid attention. You know, look at their offseason. They really paid attention. They got a good offseason signing. They handled draft well versus signing a guy that is a splash, and we're banking all of our season on like a has-been and being like the laughingstock of the league. So right now, a Tyreek Hill situation for a team in our position, we need to stay far away from that. No.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Steve says, what percentage number do you trust Pam Bondi? 70, 80%? Listen, I couldn't even tell you. I pay zero attention to any of the politics.
You pay attention to politics. I pay attention to politics.
I don't. How many I mean, you can be honest. You don't have to say where the conversation goes in politics when we talk it. But bro, you know as well as I do, rarely talk politics.
We do not. Okay.
Do.
I got to be honest. My content creator politics guy is Damon. Okay. Yeah. It makes for great conversations. He's a MAGA guy. It's great. But I will admit, you don't go politics a lot. We don't go politics. We don't. But if you just want to look at good theater, you got to look at the Pam Bondi hearings for the Epstein files. It's theater. Okay. Art. It's theater, Jess.
Like, I'm so not into politics that, like, people are like, man, what do you think of what's going on in Minnesota? I'm like, what's going on in Minnesota? They're like, oh, bro, you don't even know. They're like, all this crazy stuff's happening. I'm like, I couldn't tell you. Dude, I really couldn't tell you. I honestly couldn't have.
Politics has gotten so ridiculous that it's like rivaling like a good Game of Thrones series right now. Like, if you could keep up with the people, it's kind of like on that level, like a solid HBO series that's like hard hitting. You know, you got to pay attention.
Yeah, it's always funny when people are like online. They're like, oh, you're such a Democrat or you're such a Republican. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I would be offended if I was one or the other, but I really could give two rips. I don't know what the fuck any of that means. TVYT says, is George Kittle matching his retirement year with or when John Lynch gets fired? Hashtag next GM. I don't know about that. I mean, that would be after this upcoming season, as early as this upcoming season, I should say. I doubt that. I think George Kittle's got at least 2 more in him. I think so anyways. We'll see. Especially if he doesn't play a lot this year. Keenan says, been a while, but glad I catch alive. Much love.
My man.
Appreciate you. All right. Speaking of free agents, I've got one that's terrifying to me. It's not a free agent get, and we can get into the 49ers free agents or trade targets that you want. But man, there's one move that's got me up at night, and I'm not going to lie, man. I've thought about this one for a while. I ran it by you. You don't seem to be as impressed as I would be by this move. But there's a lot of Max Crosby movement talk, all right? And when I look at the landscape of the league, if they want them, or if they want him rather, there's one team that has a leg up on everybody, and that's one team that has 2 first-round picks that reside in the 49ers division, and that is the Rams. If they want Max Crosby, they can go get Max Crosby if he's going to actually be traded. So, that being said, if Max Crosby goes to the Rams, is that it? I mean, are the 49ers dead in the water as you see it for this upcoming season? Or are you not that worried about it?
I'm not worried about it because the Rams still need a secondary. On top of that, they need linebackers. I get it. One man can definitely make them look good on paper, but if there's anything that being a part of this regime, not just the 49ers, but this regime has taught me, is that if you're really counting on what you have on paper to get you to the Super Bowl, good luck. Because we've seen it happen time and time again, bro. Max Crosby coming in with the Rams, it would strap him, especially if he goes down. That's a high price part to put on it, to put on the engine that you have. I said this to you earlier today when we brought up the topic, is that I will say this, in their eyes, and especially in the NFL's eyes, as far as headlines are concerned, Max Crosby will make the Rams defense what they actually think they are, right? It would actually give them that type of production as far as being a hard-hitting defense that actually gets the quarterback. The only reason why it would be a worrisome move is because the Rams defense is not as advertised. They're overrated. That defense is overrated. And just because you go get one guy to ramp up the pass rush that you already have, help out on defense, I get all of that. But you still need to go get some DBs, man. You still need to go get some linebackers. The Rams ain't had linebackers in a while. So, listen, one guy, I get it. It's going to help them out. But they're on the outside looking in just like we are. So I ain't about to be putting them ahead of us.
Would you... Okay, let's say you're running the Rams for a minute.
Okay.
Would you take those 2 first-round picks and go get Max Crosby, or would you draft with those 2 first-round picks and go attack the secondary?
I'm drafting.
Okay.
I'm drafting. If I'm the Rams, if you can go do that to go get Max Crosby, take those 2 first-round picks and go get Caleb Downs, because you need a safety. You need a DB. There's a generational safety, a Sean Taylor-like safety in the draft right now, right? If you're the Rams, go get a guy, but not on Max Crosby. Like, another thing too is that Max Crosby is getting a lot of love because of his production on a bad team, right? We don't know what Max Crosby looks like when he's in a bucket by himself and has to produce. Like, we gotta see it.
I think Max Crosby would be absolutely terrifying on the Rams. I'm sorry.
I get it.
I look at that defensive line. You add a Max Crosby to it, and it's like, yeah, we can say what we want about secondary, but all of a sudden you can't double team any of those guys. And it's like, hey, 1, 2, 3, meet at the quarterback. Like, you only have so much time to get rid of the ball anyways. I don't know, man. Max Crosby to either Seattle is a possibility too, by the way. I didn't even talk about them. They easily could probably spend the assets to go get him and be even scarier on defense. So I don't know, bro. I just Max Crosby in division is not what I'm looking for at all. But at the same time, I don't want him to be a 49er either. Like, I would rather, as scary as it is, if he went to the Rams, I would rather the Rams spend the capital to go get him than the 49ers, if that makes sense.
And you know what's crazy is that, yeah, that was going to be my next question, is like, the Max Crosby pick should tell you everything if you think he should be a Niner. I wouldn't want him. I don't want him.
No, I just think us and the Rams are in 2 different spots. I think the Rams could be a player away, a Max Crosby caliber player away, and they have the 2 first-round picks to go get him. The 49ers, if they get a Max Crosby, it's like, okay, so you spent both the next 2 first-round picks plus some to go get him. I don't think that they're 1 player away. I think the Rams are a lot closer than the 49ers are to a ring, personally.
And I misspoke. I need to check something because this is one of my dogs. Caleb Downs he's not on Sean Taylor's level. Caleb Downs is a generational. He's just Sean Taylor is one of one. I misspoke. I am sorry. Caleb Downs is not the next Sean Taylor. I need to correct myself.
Okay. Well, you also poo-pooed Nate Landman for the Rams too. So we're talking linebackers. I mean, just he's a pretty good player, but I'll just throw that out there. But listen, you don't get to talk Rams. You're not a good Rams content creator. Let me tell you. All right. Yeah, I don't know. I just Max Crosby to me would be terrifying. I'll just throw it out there. Okay. Here's another player. I'm just randomly throwing guys out there. How about Joey Bosa to the 49ers or Deebo Samuel to the 49ers? Those are rumors that we've been hearing. You excited about either one of those?
No.
That one blow your skirt up?
No, man. No. I am not. No. Stay where you at, man. You know when you get an ex where the situation was just so toxic and it was so hard to let go of, where if you see them like doing a thing from afar, it's like, you know what? Good for you. Good for you. I love that for you. Good for you. Mm-hmm. I ain't about to hit you up about that shit, though. Don't call me, though. But good for you. Like, that's how I feel about Debo. Like, nah, bro. We don't need to run it back, bro. Stop.
Yeah, no to Debo. I said no to Joey last year, so I'm certainly saying no to Joey this year. Like, nah, I'm good, bro. I'm good to go. Man. I'm good to go. I want young players who are gonna grow with this team. I'm not looking for aging guys to fill a spot for a year that you're gonna have to refill again next year. Like, give me a chance at filling roles permanently. Period. That's what I'm looking for.
Two Bosas on the same roster. What's next? Kid Rock at halftime? Fuck out of here. Like, I'm done with it. There's no way we're doing that. I ain't putting up. I just want to drink my beer, cut my grass. Like, hell nah, dog. Enough. No way.
I'm not big on it. Okay, well, are there any free agents that you've got your eye on? Any trade targets you've got your eye on? I got a few. I got a few free agents.
I got a couple. One guy coming out of the Chargers, Odafe Owe. He's an edge rusher, 6'5", 251. I think he was originally drafted by the Ravens. He's going to be a free agent. I would love to pick him up. I think that he's another solid guy. Kind of fits in that
a next reclamation project.
There you go. I was just about to say. Kind of fits right into that reclamation project situation for the Niners, but he's young. I love him. Came out of Penn State. I think he'd be somebody that would be able to help us out. And then also somebody that I think is kind of a sneaky get for us, Romeo Doubs. Receiver out of Green Bay. I think that Romeo Doubs, he gives us outside X body type and production. I think Romeo Doubs is about 6'2", 200 pounds, so he's a bigger receiver, but he spends a lot of his time in the slot, which is able to give us a lot of versatility if we don't like to be able to have him on the outside. I think that Romeo Doubs could be able to help us out on the receiver front. And then also it kind of hits in the Kyle's workflow of, I'm not trying to get a guy that's through the roof. I think we have a little bit of like star receiver PTSD. So we need guys that kind of come in like DeMarcus Robinson that have the archetype but aren't really a number one. I think the Romeo Doubs gives us a lot of punch in that area. So those are my two guys. I think that Owe, the edge coming out of the Chargers, and Romeo Doubs. I think those will be really good gets for us. Now, we also have like the Hollywood picks in Linderbaum and Kyle Pitts, but realistically, I would love for us to pick up Owe and Romeo Doubs.
Yeah, I think Linderbaum's a pipe dream, first of all. I don't think that Shanahan's going to be intrigued by him. Second of all, I think if he goes anywhere other than the Ravens, it would be straight over to the Giants to work with Harbaugh again. It just makes too much sense. I just don't see it. A player that I do really want, I've been talking up for a couple weeks. A lot of people are talking about Kyle Pitts. Why not go get budget Kyle Pitts and Isaiah Likely, man? I wanted the 49ers 3 years ago when they were signing Debo. The trade I proposed was Debo to the Ravens for a then pretty unknown Isaiah Likely, a young Isaiah Likely who had yet to explode on the scene, and a second round pick. That was what I had proposed. And a lot of people laughed at me and was like, oh, Isaiah Likely in a second. That's not enough for Debo. Hey, it would have worked out really good, I think. And what I think Isaiah Likely brings to the table is threefold. One, he's a great second tight end to pair with George Kittle. Two, he can fill in admirably for George Kittle until he's back. And three, I'm advocating that the 49ers do not re-sign Jawan Jennings. If you need a big body target that may not play the receiver position, but can be that guy on third downs for you, I think Isaiah Likely could fit that role really nice. I would love to go get Isaiah Likely. He's only 26 years old. He's not going to cost as much as Pitts, although I still think he'll be a little spendy. But I would love to go get somebody like Isaiah Likely. Another player that I've been looking at is Elijah Vera Tucker, tackle / guard with the Jets. He can play both positions. I think he's got the possibility to move out to tackle after playing guard for us this year. And then why not go get an actual running back, man? Breece Hall, 25 years old. Purdy's old running mate with Iowa State. I mean, come on. It just makes too much damn sense. Go get Breece Hall,
Breece
please.
Hall would be a sexy get, to be real with you.
Right.
And I think that Breece Hall has enough. I've been with us long enough to know that like nobody's not going to make a name on this team. They are a slave to like the get-wits. It's real clicky here. It sucks, but it's the truth. And Breece Hall, because of the Purdy background, him being a guy that is definitely a north-south guy that kind of got phased out into a scat back role where he's really a zone guy that could put his foot in the ground. I think that Breece Hall would kind of get fit right in. Like they would like him. He would be a culture fit too. Breece Hall, I'd love that move. I really do. And then Breece Hall, and then you have Jordan James, and then Christian. That's a whole remade backfield. See what I'm saying? Just it takes one player to kind of look at things different. You can look at our offensive line completely in a different light if we got a new center. I know you would. If we got a new center, you would look at our offense come in a whole new light. It just takes one or two guys to shift the perspective, man. That's all I'm saying.
808 Niner says, Romeo Doubs does fit in. He's another receiver who's always hurt. Nice. Well played.
I like that.
All right, Coach. Listen, man, a little over an hour in. Cover 2 Mondays. Can't wait to do this show again with you next week. Always a blast, brother. Always. I hope you have a fantastic week. What do you got going on? You got your
Neutral Zone with Damon.
Okay.
Wednesday, The Faithful Review is back. Me and Tom are back on Wednesdays. Like we just mentioned earlier in the show, the coaches meeting on Thursday and calling shows on Saturdays, man. We're locked in.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, that's funny. Super chat. All right, bro. Well, listen, I think I'll be back tomorrow with Sunil, and then I got let's see, what else do I got? We got to figure out how to do 3 Deep again, and then I got the NFC West Roundtable. We got to talk Super Bowl and what I'm curious to see what the Seattle Seahawks fans' take is on this Fleury hire. Are they excited? Are they like, nah? What? Yeah, are they going to be asking me questions? I don't know. I'm curious to see. I always like to see what other fan bases feel about their moves in the offseason. Let's see how on fire they are about Brian Fleury being their offensive coordinator. I have a feeling they're not going to be super stoked about it, but we'll see.
Yep.
All right, brother. We'll have a good night. Everybody in the chat, much love. Talk soon. Peace.